So is Japanese Breakfast a band or solo act? Michelle, make up your mind. Hello everyone, Cross here. So Japanese Breakfast is a musical project that's had an interesting origin, and has recently become more renowned as the 2020s have hit, as the mastermind behind JBrekkie's music is Michelle Zauner, JB's leader, singer, and guitarist. She released a best-selling memoir, Crying in H Mart, and in that same year she would release Jubilee, and that would give her some attention from the Grammys with 2 nominations. In fact, that's how I discovered them. The name caught my attention, I listened to Be Sweet, and I never looked back. Before I go forward, I should mention that I'll interchangeably use Japanese Breakfast, JBrekkie, a nickname used to refer to Japanese Breakfast, or even just JB, and I'll put a counter after each one to see how much I use each one. While I mentioned her already, I need to talk more about Michelle. Michelle's journey is the story of perseverance after multiple failed musical projects and the death of her mother, which really changed the direction of her life. I'll talk more about that a little later when I get into the style category. So seeing the acclaim and success from Crying in H Mart and Jubilee in 2021, it makes you glad because she deserved it. I bring this background up because the underdog story can really make your connection with Japanese Breakfast stronger, and it's an important part of her story. I'm stopping the intro here because I can make these too long. When you see the next big project, you'll understand why I'm cutting this short. So here's how this video will work. I'm going to cover the style of Japanese Breakfast so that the uninitiated can better understand what JBrekkies sound like, and this will help shape why I pick certain songs. I'll go over the albums before I cover each of the songs from that album, so we'll go from album, songs, then the next album, and so forth. This will help give some insight as to why I pick some of the albums and songs that I do. I'll cover the albums and songs in the order that I best recommend you check them out. That way once you get past the songs, you'll know which order to go from there. I will only pick at most 2 songs per album, and only 2 albums will get 2 songs. This is to encourage some variety so that it isn't just Jubilee and friends here. I'll have some honorable mentions so that you have some next steps, no covers or features. We're talking about Japanese Breakfast. Covers and features don't always define an artist or are representative of their style, so I won't include them here. Though one song is a gray area. I'll explain when I get to it. And just so you know, this is all my opinion. If you agree or disagree, comment and let me know why and what you would suggest instead. I'm curious to know. And with that being said, let's move on to the style. To explain the style of Japanese Breakfast, I would narrow it down to indie pop, dream pop, experimental pop, indie rock, with some elements of shoegaze and chamber pop. Each album has some other elements to set each one apart, but these are the core elements. Some songs focus on one or 2 over the other. Michelle keeps things simple. She has an idea and then she expands on it. Though I should pause and look at that shoegaze genre. Michelle describes JBrekkie as shoegaze inspired, and that's a key distinction. Most people would hesitate to call bands like JB and even Deftones shoegaze proper, but you can hear the influence on their sound. Shoegaze elitists will scoff at the idea of calling these artists shoegaze proper, but you can definitely see it in their sound. I would say Japanese Breakfast is more dream pop as opposed to shoegaze. I should probably explain the difference between these 2 genres, huh? I'm gonna refer to Fantano's video on shoegaze, and the guest he has on that video describes shoegaze as being a wall of sound that's fuzzy with distorted guitars and is dark. And dream pop has a wall of sound but has a more ethereal, light, and atmospheric feel. There's a lot of overlap, and these genres are often used interchangeably, but that's an incredibly oversimplified distinction. In a lot of Japanese Breakfast's music, there's a darker tone still, and it's reflected in Michelle's lyrics. And for the first 2 albums, Michelle was tackling the grief over the death of her mother, so it makes sense. And with Melancholy, Brunnettes returning to JBrekkie's dark sound, leads to JB's discography having an overall darker feel. But Japanese Breakfast is still a pop act, so it's not as dark as some goth bands can get. The music is simple, a lot of indie music is, but when you consider the live band has an additional guitarist, Peter Bradley, who's also Michelle's husband, bassist Devin Craig, and drummer and co-producer Craig Hendricks, they're the core members. However, they also have a keyboard player, Macy Stewarts, a saxophone player, Adam Schwartz, and they have a string quartet as well. So while the music is simple and has an atmospheric feel, this should tell you that there's a little more going on the surface. And one last thing I want to note are that the album's runtimes, with the exception of the Sable OST, each are less than 40 minutes. Hell, Psychopomp is less than 30 minutes. I bring this up because with albums becoming less popular, so people stick to singles and certain songs, these albums are not as much of an investment compared to other artists, and they're tight, so there's less of an excuse to not listen to these full albums. Think of these albums compared to other albums as a snack, and other artist albums are more of a feast. This album still sounds like a Japanese breakfast album. Jubilee still has the lo-fi indie pop sound, but trades most of the shoegaze elements in favor of a more dream pop approach. It's a non-dark take on JBrekkie's sound, but it still is that sound. While it's still JB's best album, hence why I'm talking about it here, it sticks out a tad for not feeling as dark in comparison to everything else. The songs I picked and the singles are a whole are split, with the happy sounding songs like Be Sweet and Savage Good Boy, the darker tone of Posing in Bondage, and then Paprika and Slide Tackle are somewhere in between. As such, most of Jubilee's songs fit in either of these categories. The Happiness Mood is also a change in pace after the last two albums and a memoir tackling the grief surrounding the death of her mother. Needless to say, I can understand why Michelle would make an album like this. With that being said, I will still recommend this album to be the first one you should listen to, but with the caveat that the other albums are darker. You can also see it in Michelle's lyrics, at least in comparison to her other albums. Other than the singles, some recommendations are Kokomo, Indiana, Posing for Cars, and Sit. Now let's get into the sweet songs I picked from this album. My first song, and it's still my favorite, as someone who grew up listening to a lot of 80s music, new wave inspired songs are a weakness for me. I love my fucking synthesizers. I remember seeing the video and falling in love with the cheesy aesthetic fitting the music it's promoting. You're drawn in by Michelle's vocals. And you have that ethereal dream pop sound, just with a new wave twist. The keyboards are fantastic. And the funkier elements with the bass in the background of the song give it some unique character. Honestly, the rhythm section as a whole is fantastic. I love the use of hi-hats as well. The guitars are toned down in comparison to some of the other songs, but they're there. That chorus, it's so catchy. This is probably Japanese breakfast at their most fun, and as a first taste of joyful JBrekkie, this is a great rendition of it. The male backing vocals aid in the catchiness, and then after that, the portion with the vocal layering is, well, sweet. This song, being one of the poppiest songs in JB's discography, is the most earwormy, even if the intro gets stuck in your head. For the lyrics, Michelle is describing a story of someone who's on the verge of leaving their partner, and the protagonist is trying to get them to stay, urging them to stay and to make it up to them. There's more going on in this fun pop song, unrelated, but this MV is one of the most sapphic things I have ever seen. And I love it for that, in that 80s inspired cheese. I love it. The costuming, on point. I don't recommend the song as the first, as it being representative of Japanese breakfast sound. I recommend it as the first, as it's JBrekkie at their most fun, the most addicting, like that sugary treat you wish you could eat but you know you shouldn't have. But you want something more representative of JB? Alright then. Can you tell I've been posing? This song is more of the traditional Japanese breakfast taste here, so I'm picking it as my second Jubilee pick. You have that darker feel that's a tad more shoegaze in favor of dream pop, but this is still dream pop. That intro and you're sucked in with Michelle's voice. Can you tell I've been posing? The song's tone is great. Especially with how it contrasts with Michelle's normally light voice. This way. Before you know it, you're in the chorus and it has a haunting feeling. With Japanese breakfast, choruses are a tad unconventional like this one. But they still linger. One side of the brain is Be Sweet. The other is Posing in Bondage. stuck in my head for dramatically different reasons. For the music aspect, as opposed to new wave, this one has more of a synth pop feel, and could definitely fit on Church's Screen Violence. That's how well done it is, and how dark the vibe is. The guitars are present as they add to the reverb and distorted feel of the song. And the instrumentals after the chorus are a nice touch. It helped flesh out the song so much. Now I will address that there's an older, pseudo-lost version of this song that's very good too, with a different vibe. I mostly addressed it in the way you would dress an elephant in the room. That and because it's worth going out of your way to check out. But Michelle, why is this no longer on streaming? Just wondering. The Melancholy, Brunnettes, and Sad Women will like to know. I'm speaking on their behalf. For the lyrics, there's some strong ones here. The main one that catches my attention is the use of bondage as a metaphor of leaving yourself vulnerable with your partner whom you should trust. That's some deep stuff there. For this video, well, the comment section was funny, but the video itself, also rather sapphic. There's a lot of context missing by not seeing Savage Good Boy, but it's not necessary to view this one. I love the greenish filter, the shots isolating our characters until they finally meet, and that tight space remaining, just that they're isolated together now. And costuming, what is this outfit? I'm just curious. And the mouth blood? Michelle, if you see this video, can you direct a vampire music video for album 5? That'd be nice. So we're done with Jubilee. Let's move on to... This is definitely the first darker album I would recommend. While Soft Sounds continues the darker sound of Japanese Breakfast's debut Psychopomp, you get to hear more experimentation, namely with the elements of space pop and chamber pop. In some ways, we are transitioning from the darker sound of Psychopomp to the lighter sounds of Jubilee. Think of it like we got most of the grief out of Psychopomp, we're still processing and accepting the grief here on Soft Sounds, and Jubilee is moving on. And this is validated by Michelle's experience. When she was promoting Psychopomp, she would get asked about her mom's death, and it would reopen the wounds she thought she had fully gotten out. You can hear experimentations with lead single The Machinist, with the creative use of autotune giving a first taste of the space influence we'll hear on this album. This album's main critique is a lack of focus. While I can see it, this album still flows together really well, and I could see the lack of focus as exploring different regional sounds of another planet. It's almost like it's in the album's name or something. This album has loads of fan favorite songs, like the album Deep Cuts, Till Death, and Jimmy Fallon Big. While this album is space pop, it still has the shoegaze dream pop leaning moments too. This is the second album I would recommend, and a good first taste of one of the darker albums, and you'll see why in Michelle's lyrics. Remember that rule that I mentioned about covers? So on a surface level, this kinda is one, but not really. This is a remake of a song by Michelle's previous band, Little Big League. However, that song originates from Day 6. No, not that one. A demo off of June by, oh, would you look at that, Japanese Breakfast. Confused? Don't worry. Michelle recycles ideas and reinterprets her own songs, and it works out well for her. While Jubilee stopped using the Bandcamp releases, though she should look back there, each of her albums and even her last Little Big League album have older songs redone. So just know, if you like a song, there's probably another version of it, and all versions are pretty decent too. Let's not ignore that. This song is representative of this thing that Michelle does. As for the Soft Sounds version, this one is the best. It has that soft start, and the chorus is just lovely. In many ways, this is Japanese Breakfast at their most simplistic and pretty. Michelle's vocals truly are the highlight. This song is peaceful, and the guitars are scaled back, but we still have that low-key guitar solo, and it's nice. This is a nice song to disassociate to and just have a calming effect while you're alone, relaxing, and recharging your battery. This is probably one of JBrekkie's most beautiful songs when I really think about it. The rhythm section is scaled back here, though you can still hear them if you look for them. But they really are playing a backseat to the vocals and guitars. The guitar reverb is overpowering everything, but not overshadowing Michelle's vocals like how you would expect a shoegaze or dream pop album or song would. Lyrically, this is about someone who wants their partner to love them back as much as she does. She doesn't want to be the second opinion, about lacking that self-confidence and needed in a relationship as well. But understanding that you still want to be loved by that individual as well. I like this MV. It's scaled back in that cold lighting and the low-scale teen romance drama has that nice indie short film feeling. And then the inserts of Michelle in the hallway to help remind you that this is an MV. The gaffer, key grip, and colorist did a great job of giving this video the aesthetic with the lights and color grading. A simple video befitting a simple song, and there's nothing wrong with simple. So I've mentioned a few times how the death of Michelle's mother influenced the sound of Japanese Breakfast. Isn't it about time I actually discuss a song that tackles that subject? In my opinion, this one is the best. That guitar intro sucks you in. It feels like something that would be played at an unplugged grunge show, just with an electric guitar instead. The guitars are slightly louder than Michelle's vocals, like how a shoegaze song would be. Now you can still hear Michelle's voice and get what the lyrics says she's singing about. I love how Michelle's singing and guitars start ramping up as we get to the chorus, and once that chorus hits, we hear more of the interesting instrumentation. And that chorus is hauntingly beautiful. There's a hint of sadness shown in Michelle's voice. It's like there's an emotion being presented, yet contained. This song almost has a singer-songwriter vibe, but with an indie rock vibe instead. Now lyrically, we have a lot more going on here. Now when you look at the Genius page, it appears simple, and that there isn't a lot there, but it's actually rather telling. This song is about struggling to get through a hard time. The opening verse is Michelle telling herself to find a bright spot. The chorus is her trying to remain strong, but feeling rather disassociated. The final verse is the feeling of failing. In the immediate aftermath of a painful memory, and how painful the moving along progress sucks. Her childhood home was sold, the house that had plenty of happy memories, but also some painful memories associated with it, but it's to reconcile. Her past is being sold. The lyrics are simple, but during a tough time and grieving, the feelings and thoughts are raw. They're not sugar-coated. When the song was originally released, it was called My Mommy Is Sick. It doesn't get more blunt than that. As for the MV, it's beautiful. It has that feel of a home movie someone makes to celebrate the life of someone else. This being her mom, who's presented in photos and even recreated in some as well, and her being in a field similar to the home she grew up in, along with the activities she would have done in her free time as well. It's a simplified beauty that pays tribute. Damn, Michelle, that performance was great. So a lot happened in the span of about a week. We got the Vivo studio performance of Honey Water that was alluded to in her YouTube after party, alongside one for Mega Circuit. And that one was great too. I think when Melancholy came out, it was safe to say that Honey Water was the standout fan favorite song. So it's cool it's getting the paprika and heft treatment of not getting an MV, but a fantastic performance video. And on top of that, we got the Coachella stage. I wasn't there because car crash aftermaths aren't cheap, and I heard they did a Gorillaz cover with her tour opener Ginger Root. Aw man, release the performance Coachella, you cowards. Also, by the way, I checked out Ginger Root in preparation for their concert, and he's great too. So expect a concert recap type of video in the near future. With all that being said, let's get back to the video. A great debut, when it's done right, acts as a blueprint, a foundation for what's to come, and Psychopomp succeeds with that task, even if it was only meant to be a one-off. While this album is Japanese Breakfast at their most basic, it's still really good. Hell, it's great. Like the rest of Michelle's music, Psychopomp is tight and compact, no filler, and I enjoy all the songs. One of the traits that caught my attention on this most recent re-listen was the use of instrumentals, like the title track. As this was JBrekkie's first album, it's both sonically and lyrically at its darkest. Granted, Psychopomp still has the happy sounding Everybody Wants to Love You. I'll talk more about that song in a moment, don't worry. This song feels the most shoegazy of JB's albums. This album is a mood, and I love it for that. Other than Psychopomp's singles, I recommend Rugged Country and 777. A lot of their songs here have roots in a few different demos, so on this album, it sounds as tight as it does because of how many different renditions and drafts these songs have been through, and we have the best version of these songs as well. Why are the fun songs sapphic? I'm not complaining, it's just a funny coincidence. While this album's primary theme is the grief that Michelle felt following the death of her mother, not every song is about that. And I think for a list suggesting songs I would recommend for someone who isn't familiar with Japanese breakfast, one of their catchiest songs would be a shoo-in. And keep in mind, JBrekkie is a pop band. This darkness I've been air quoting is more subject matter than what is necessarily a sonic aesthetic. Now let me talk about why I love this song. That guitar intro that feels like we're entering an Asian setting in a Hollywood movie. I don't know how else to describe it, but I'm not going to use the dreaded O word.
My face would obviously be someone Oriental, and my voice would be someone who still uses the word Oriental.
The effect on Michelle's voice yanks your attention towards the song. And that chorus with the backing male vocals. And then Michelle singing the title. It's so catchy, but I do warn you, it will get stuck in your head, so just be careful. Then there's Michelle's guitar solo. Probably the most overt solo I have on this list, as Boyish's guitar solo blends into the background of that song. This might be my second favorite song by JBrekkie, but again, I think having another fun song wouldn't hurt for a list like this. Lyrically, this song is about Michelle singing about a girl she liked and how people want to love her. This comes from her own words. When I first read the title, I assumed it had something to do with her mother, but no, that's not true. There could be an alternate meaning lining up with my previous assumption, but I don't feel like entering the argument of authorial intent versus the reader's interpretation. For the MV, you have Michelle in a hanbok, a traditional Korean garment. This is one of those examples of Michelle's Korean heritage. I'm now realizing my first video after the K-pop series is about a Korean-born American artist. I promise I will leave the peninsula. But back to the video. Michelle is in a hanbok going about the local nightlife and doing things you wouldn't typically expect an Asian woman doing, much less in traditional clothing, according to Western stereotypes anyways. Binge drinking, even shotgunning a beer, and waking up after passing out on a bench, smoking cigarettes, playing pool in a bar, playing arcade games, the works. Michelle is a hot mess in this video, and it's glorious. And then we get her dancing under a bridge, getting harassed by men, and her performing her guitar solo on the hood of a rig, a shot I will always think of when I think of Michelle's honor. This is a fun music video, that's all I'm gonna say. And now we go from debut to the most recent album. I love this album title so much. It does give up the vibe this album is going for. After the brighter sound of Jubilee, Melancholy Brunnettes' return to the darker sound is interesting. As someone who joined after the Grammys' attention, this is my first new album. This is in some way a bridge between Jubilee and the darker first two albums. Michelle learned music theory when making Jubilee, and this album was the first one recorded in a professional studio. So it has that feel of the first two albums, but with the polish of Jubilee. But out of all the current albums, this one has a more gothic take on dream pop, which I can certainly appreciate as a fan of The Cure. As for why this album is dark, this album tackles the fame surrounding Michelle after 2021, as it was very sudden and overwhelming for her. This album also tackles the themes of men failing the women in their lives. Yeah, that album title has a purpose, and not just emo vibes. And during the production of this album, Michelle reunited with her estranged father after years. When her mother died, they drifted apart, something Michelle sadly predicted would happen in her memoir. And yeah, it wasn't pretty. Michelle mentioned in her YouTube after party that there's that whole blood connection connection that'll always tie you together no matter what, something I relate to, and mentioning her father wanted to know what he missed out on. But that's a man who failed his daughter, a woman in his life. We got so much about the relationship with her mother, we're now getting songs surrounding her father. It's darkness, but a different kind of dark. This album just came out, so there's some recency bias and new album hype, so my judgment is clouded here. In the future, I could put this as the second album to check out, but we'll have to wait and see when Japanese Breakfast releases their 6th album. We're only on album 4, and I'll make an updated take on this video. Who knows, by then we may also have the film adaptation of Crying in H Mart, and hopefully Michelle makes the soundtrack and score for it. I'm really excited about that prospect.
For melancholy brunettes and sad women.
The narrowing for this album's pick had a few factors. While this is my least favorite of the singles so far, I still like it and it has grown on me. Just the initial premiere for the lyric video was disappointing. I was initially gonna do Mega Circuit, but when I was going through the lyrics, I realized it might not be the best idea for me to tackle at this point of my channel. Picture Window just came out, so recency bias might take over. So Orlando in Love it is, and the song still represents the album well. Now this song is still great. As a first taste, you get the vibe that this album is going for. Melancholy, with those softer acoustic guitar strums in the intro. Then the strings come in. The rhythms are kept steady and consistent and don't change too much over the course of the song. Gradually as the song goes, we get more touches of each instrument, like the percussion. As for Michelle's vocals, it's also fairly consistent throughout, where the major variations are how she uses different techniques to emphasize certain emotions she wants to narrow in on. Considering the fact that the song's singular chorus is at the end of the song, and it's just Orlando sung 4 times, she has to get the storytelling and mood right in the presentation with her voice. I'm now also realizing that the chorus being at the end might be why a lot of people were disappointed at the end of the premiere. There was a whole lot of "that's it" in the chat. As far as the lyrics are concerned, it's an exploration of what society wants women to be. The name itself is an allusion to a novel of a man becoming a woman, Orlando, a biography, but also gets the story of a guy who's foolish and falls in love with a siren. Then we have another allusion to the birth of Venus. Whose image may or may not get this whole video demonetized. The themes do work well together. As for the MV, the setting takes place in a world similar to the song's namesake, and the production design succeeds at bringing this setting to life. The set design and costumes are well done, and that warm filter and lighting in the library section creates a great contrast to the vibe of the song and the album as a whole. But we also have Sailor Michelle exploring the sea and falling for the siren. This video is good. I wouldn't have mind waiting a little longer for the official MV as the first taste, but oh well. So that's it for the albums. This one is a tad out there, but it does qualify for this list. While the song I recommend is good, I certainly wouldn't start out with this release. This is basically what if Japanese Breakfast did a game soundtrack, and Michelle succeeds here. But that's the thing, it works well as a game OST, but it doesn't work out as a standard JBrekkie album would. An album has a theme or story it wants to tell, and has that ability to explore that. A video game, like a film OST, is creating multiple mini-themes for settings, characters, motifs, menus, and because this is for a game, one that I've gathered is an open world game, you'll have so much time exploring, and loads of the songs have day and night versions to help aid in the day and night cycle so the music doesn't feel too repetitive. And each of JB's albums are less than 40-minute affairs in the conventional album format, but with Sable, you have almost triple the length. This album only has 2 pop songs, and the rest have an ambient feel. So yeah, it's like getting into 9 Inch Nails and starting with their Quake OST, or Ghost 1 through 4. With that being said, this OST is good, and it does make me want to check out the game. When I first listened to the OST, I did not care for it and swore it off. In hindsight, I realized I wasn't used to listening to OSTs, and after hearing a few, I get this album now. And this one is rather relaxing. Put it on with the right mood and environment, it's a pleasant listen. Listen to it while reading Crying in H Mart. Just trust me on that one. Now, I did say this album has 2 pop songs. Here's one. The opening notes create a different vibe compared to the rest of Japanese Breakfast's discography. Michelle's voice is toned down as to not be too distracting, because in a game where I'll be playing for hours and hearing the song over and over, and if a song is annoying, it makes the gameplay rather grating. The song itself feels electronic too, fitting for a video game. You still have the string influences, real percussion, and guitars if you're looking for it. It's a different style and not wholly representative of JBrekkie's discography, but there's only so much that I had to work with here. And this song is still pretty good. Lyrically, it's simple. Michelle is creating an image of exploring an open world and riding the glider you'll use to explore that world. A nice way to help suck you into the world, but not be too intrusive. The song is simple, but like JB's music as a whole, it's simple, but there's a lot of things to pick up on if you look for them. As for the MV, it's just a glider from Sable exploring the desert in still images in the day and night cycle. Nothing crazy, but at the Game Awards, Michelle did perform there, and it's on the Game Awards YouTube channel. It's well performed, and it's intercut with some alpha footage from Sable. I guess I should address why I've been discussing the MVs, huh? I've been talking about the MVs because Michelle directed them. She studied film and she puts it to work here. I think her MVs are pretty creative, hence why I've chosen to talk about them. You get to see the MVs do connect with some aspects of the song or the themes of the album, and sometimes they're just fun. But yeah, when a film adaptation of Crying in H Mart does come out, we can officially add screenwriter to her list of titles. Musician, author, screenwriter. She's got a lot on her plate. While on these lists, I only include widely released songs because these lists are about accessibility, so these songs wouldn't qualify. They're not as inaccessible as you might think. While they're not on streaming, you can still purchase American Sound, Where's My Great Big American Feeling, and June off of JBrekkie's Bandcamp. And even then, they're pay what you want, so they have the In Rainbows treatment. So you can still easily listen to these songs legally, but I know not everyone will listen to them. I bring this up because they're inessential, but they're still neat, and some songs would become proper JBrekkie songs, so it's interesting to see the paths these songs would go to become the songs we know, like Boyish and Jane Come. And a lot of these songs and ideas haven't become proper songs yet, so if you want more JB, they're there. There's other stuff to check out, but we'll get there. Now let's get to the honorable mentions. So while I'll recommend the rest of the singles in general, these are the ones I'll specifically highlight. And I will do a complimentary video for the album deep cuts somewhere down the road. Just a reminder, there's plenty of good album deep cuts. Definitely the most painful cut to the list, so this would be the first honorable mention I would check out. The song itself is beautiful, maybe the most beautiful in JBrekkie's discography, at least so far. Definitely the other fun-sounding single on Jubilee, and it's good. This also offers more insight into the Posing In Bondage video as well. I love this song, but the auto-tune, while cool and used rather creatively, isn't representative of JBrekkie's music as a whole, but it does for the album concept. Another nice song that's just nice atmospheric vibes, and another pick for a cool music video. Definitely one of the most obvious songs tackling the grief of Michelle losing her mother, and this one is more the immediate aftermath, and with these lyrics, they sure do pack a punch. This song was originally going to be on the list, but I felt the lyrics might create a conversation I don't particularly want in my comment section. Though I do like the song more than Orlando in Love. This song has a nice vibe, and even though I mentioned the lyrics, Michelle isn't making those statements to mock the people she's referring to, but rather out of pity. Again, great song. The other pop song off of Sable, and it's great too, and a favorite of Michelle's as well. If you dig it, there's a studio performance of it as well, and it's good. Those strings are gorgeous. Michelle's time in Little Big League is a big part of her story, and it's a shame that it'll only ever be seen as a failure, because the music there was good. It's like Japanese Breakfast, but with second wave or Midwestern emo vibes as opposed to dream pop. Those albums are around half an hour too, and the split release is good as well. To highlight this band, I chose Lindsay, which is JB's go-to Little Big League song to play at live performances. Also, if you do decide to check out LBL, some of the songs have Michelle doing unclean vocals, so if you're curious as to how she would do that, check them out. You know, if after 2 or 3 Japanese breakfast albums, we got another album by this band, I'd be more than happy. Or even just a compilation of all the songs to have a wider release now that Japanese breakfast has been successful. That'd be nice. But with all that being said, that's the end of the list. Let me know what you thought, what songs you would have picked. I'm more than happy to hear your thoughts. Be sure to like and subscribe so that I know that this video is making a mark. Share with a friend who you want to get into Japanese breakfast so they can see how simple it is. Also, I want to shout out Nicky Loves Music, as he made a YouTube short with his thoughts on songs to introduce you to JBrekkie, and he has some great picks and some deep cuts. And if you're a JB fan, tell me how you got into this band. I'm not an OG fan, so it would be cool to hear those stories from the pre-2021 era. And if you did make it to this point, comment how many times I said Japanese breakfast, JBrekkie, and JB, if you were paying attention to the counters. And with all that being said, cross out.